Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Beaver and today we are answering a question that I have been asking for a long time. Does the period you leave your fermentation after it's done fermenting actually make a difference to your end product? Now if you've been asking that same question, stick around because I think I might just have the answer to that. Now, as I said in the intro, this is a question that I have been asking myself for a very long time. Does it actually make a difference if you leave your fermentation after it's done fermenting for a period of time? Now, if you come from the brewing side of the distilling, if you've started out making your own beer and then you moved into distilling, you know that the longer, up to a specific period, you leave your beer to mature after you've bottled or kegged or whatever method you use, the better the beer becomes. As if the time actually melds all the flavors together and it just becomes a harmonious mixture. Where if you drink it right after you're done bottle priming it or whatever, it doesn't taste like a complete product. So I've been asking that question because I come from the brewing side as well. Does it make a difference? Now, I never really had the time to do it. But luckily for me, a few things went topsy-turvy and I was forced to actually have a fermentation that stood for a very long time. Now, this all started it's now exactly about 6 months ago. I started to make I made a rum wash. So I took some standard molasses that you get from the feed store. Sorry, I lost a lot of the footage. I'll put whatever footage I have into the video, but I lost a lot of it during the period that passed. But yeah, so I took standard feed store molasses, the unsulfured type. Don't use the sulfur type, but the unsulfured feed molasses. I took that, I mixed it with some brown sugar. Luckily for us, here in South Africa, all our sugar is derived from sugar cane, thus it makes a rum. I did not invert the sugars at all. I did add a little bit of bicarb and I can't remember, seashells to the actual fermentation to allow the fermentation not to peak in the pH side of things. I did add a little bit of super nutrient into it to help the yeast to get all started, and it fermented like a dream. It took about 2 weeks for it to ferment and then the fermentation was done. It fermented all the way down to a 1.020. That's common for a rum because there's a lot of unfermentable sugars in a rum wash, and between a 1.020 or a 1.015 is generally where I aim for, and I'm happy that the rum is finished. A lot of things happened. We had to move house and all the other fun stuff, and I didn't get around to running it. So the jar was sealed, or the fermenter was sealed up nice and tight. And I just left it. I left it there for, up until this experiment now. So when I finally came around to actually wanting to distill it, I thought to myself, okay, let me test it. I took the exact same molasses that I still had left in the tub. I took the exact same bag of sugar that I had left over, and I made a second wash, also 50 liters. I took that wash, I did the exact same nutrients, the exact same bicarb and pH stabilizers, and I let it ferment. Once again, it took about this one took about 3 weeks because we were in the process of heading out of winter and into summer, so it took a little bit longer, but it ended up fermenting out, also to a 1.020. So that was that done. I had a fermentation that has been standing for over 6 months, and I had another fermentation that just finished. But I had another challenge, and that challenge was, how can I remove myself from the distillation process? And that's where This little thing comes in. If you don't know what it is, it's a My Vodka Maker. It's a little robot that's a continuous still. It's capable of running a wash and completely hands off. So it does all the cuts, it does all the funny things that you need to do when you are distilling, and it is extremely accurate and it is extremely precise when it comes to the way it does it. So I decided I'm gonna let the robot run it. So initial run that came off was this big jar here. This is the first 50 liter wash that has been standing for about 6 months and then distilled. On this side, roughly about a liter less. So that was the first observation, is that I got about a full 1 liter less product out of the other fermentation. So I got 2 jars of it over here. So jar number 1, I got about 5 liters, or fermentation number 1, I got about 5 liters, and fermentation number 2, I got about 4 liters out of the robot. So observation number 1, you get a higher yield. Now for observation number 2, does it actually make a difference to the taste? Let's quickly decant and find out. So this one here is the 6 months plus. New straw. Just grab a new straw here. Keep it as fair as possible. So let's get into it. So right off the bat, the 6 months has a lot more funk to it. So it does have that funky Jamaican rum kind of smell to it, a little bit of overripe fruits, where the newer spirit is more molasses forward and has a sweeter smell to it. Let's quickly taste it. This one does have a lot more funk, or initially has a lot more funk. Yeah, so in the rum wash side of things, I can clearly say there is a massive difference between the two. The 6 months does have a lot more character to it, a lot more flavors going on, overripe fruits and a little bit of that blue cheese funk, where the newer fermentation that was 3 weeks fermented then distilled has a lot less of those characters in it with the exact same recipe, but it is a lot sweeter. It's a little bit thinner on the taste, but it doesn't have all those other funky characters to it. So in my opinion, does leaving the fermentation for that long actually make a noticeable difference? Well, in a rum, if you're going for that massive amount of funk, definitely leave it. Keep an eye on it as well. Mine didn't form any funky infections or anything on it, but if it starts doing any types of infections, run it as quick as possible before it turns into vinegar or something. But yeah, on the other side, this is more the rum that I'm used to distilling, the newer fermentation side. So yeah, I'm interested to see how these two meld together. Now, how they are going to meld together is relatively simple. They're going into a wooden barrel. So yeah, if you're stuck around this far, thank you very much for watching and have a lekker day.